All right.
All right. So this is the first. Being silly, I'm dancing to the music. I dance out of my shoe.
Oh, Lordy, Lordy. Were you able to hear it this time?
Yes, I heard the music. That's why I was dancing so much.
You like, yes, I'm back. I'm back.
In there. Back on Water Cooler Wednesday. Hey, with our theme music and everything.
Right, right, right. All right, all right. It's another Wednesday, Water Cooler Wednesday.
Yes.
Hey, and we are so excited to be here with you guys today. We come every Wednesday, 6 p.m. We're here just to be with you. We want to be with you.
That we do.
Yes, yes, yes. So, Lisa, what we talking about today?
Oh, you know what? I think we talking about relationships. Yeah, we giving relationship advice
Relationships.
today.
Right.
Well, specific type of relationship, the relationship between a realtor and a loan originator, like yourself and myself.
Right,
Why,
right.
why it's important for that to be something that gels. They got to go together good. They got to work together. Got to fit
Hmm.
together like pieces of a puzzle.
Right. I mean, the best thing you can have is two people that love to work together,
Yep,
and because you know that they're gonna do the best for you, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
All right, all right. So let me introduce myself. My name is Dione Branch, and I am with Allure Dream Homes, brokered by EXP Realty.
Yes. And I am Lisa J. White, the house money mama with Nexa Mortgage, where our brokers are better. That's right. I said it. And we're here to meet all your financing needs, everything mortgage and residential and some commercial as well.
Okay. All right. All right. So today, like Lisa said, we're going to talk about click to close, why the lender and the realtor need to mesh together. Like
Yes. Yes.
why we need to be best buds.
Right.
And
And you know what? I think some people, we have a lot of people that they kind of come on the internet and they start doing things. And you think that just because you see them on the internet doing things, that means everything is all together. That's not always the case. So I think one of the things that's just important is that when you look at people working together to choose as become part of your team, that synergy is there. Not just that you see them online, but also you see how they work together. A team mentality is something that people really need to have, because if you don't have a team mentality, then it's more difficult for you to work together, and you accomplish less when you work with an individual mindset as opposed to working with the team mentality and a group kind of a mindset.
yeah, yeah. And although Lisa and I are together all the time, the our team does extend actually a little further than us. And
Yep.
it makes it such an easy process when we're working together and have our team involved. Then we know that we're going to receive the information that's needed, and we're going to receive it, in a timely fashion.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Because it's like, you say we got each other's back.
mhm.
Because if you work with somebody and you don't really like them, sorry to say that, but it can happen. People can work together. They don't even really care that much for each other, but you don't care if they look bad. That
Right.
it's true. I mean, it's like it's no skin off my nose, whatever. That's you. But we don't work together like that. I'm honestly concerned, genuinely concerned about how you look as a professional and how
Mhm.
we work together. Same thing with you for me. You're
Right.
concerned about how I look as the professional, and how we work together. So we're constantly working to make sure that everything is done correctly so that the customer gets the best outcome. We get a seamless partnership is always going to ensure a smoother and less stressful home buying process. Period.
Very. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like it's what is called enhanced client satisfaction.
Yes,
Right.
I
So,
like that term. That's
right. We want to make sure that our clients are happy. So as as you see us working and with one another and able to communicate, we know that you will receive what we're giving to you, and no understanding that we're here working for you. And so then you're happy. You're happy that you have a great team, because the what you really want in a purchase is a good team.
right, absolutely. You want people that are going to coordinate with each other and keep one another informed. So like
Mhm.
we will individually communicate with you. You know, of course, as a LO, I can't tell all your business. I get
Right.
in your business. I get in all your business, but I don't share all of your business with everybody. But I do have to be able to communicate and coordinate with Dion so that I'm keeping her informed. You know, I can't talk to the listing agent or the seller's attorney. That's a separate side of transaction. So the better I keep her informed, the better she can advocate for you.
Yeah.
Because now
Yeah.
if she needs, this at her discretion, it's the best thing to do, how to handle whatever's going on in the transaction. You and her will talk about that, but it might be necessary based upon something that I say. She has to have a conversation with you and then go back to the listing agent. That might happen. But if we're not coordinated and we're not keeping each other informed, like we text each other throughout the day, phone calls and things like that and emails, if we're not doing all that, then it's hard to keep you in the best position.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen other transactions, not with us, but I've seen other transactions and heard, some horror stories about just, well, they say, well, why you didn't just tell me that? Because y'all wasn't working together as a team. That's why
Mhm.
they didn't tell you that.
Right. That's why they tell you that. And then lots sometimes I may work with another lender and I'm educating my client, but the lender is not educating on their side. And so then the client will say to me all the time, like, why my lender isn't telling me this, or I'm saying go back to your lender and ask them this, or you need to understand how this is going to work, because it's always the client always asks me the lender questions, right? Even when I work with Lisa. Right, but I like to make sure that you speak to the lender, right? I'm going to tell you, hey, go talk to your lender, make sure that you understand. But then for when I'm working with someone besides Lisa, I say, and ask them this.
Right?
Because they haven't told them that. So I'll be like,
Right,
and ask them
right.
this. I know Lisa's told them this, or has worked with them, or I've texted Lisa and asked for you and said, okay, this and this, and they have some questions. These are some of the questions, but
Hmm.
um, it's that yeah, it's kind of difficult.
Yep. But when you can keep that communication going and stay coordinated, that's a huge help for you as the customer.
Hmm.
Whether you're
Right.
investing, whether you're buying your primary, whether you're buying the secondary, whatever it might be, everybody wants to have a smooth transaction, and
Yeah.
you can only do that if you have adequate communication and coordination happening between your LO and your
Mm.
realtor.
Right. It helps streamline the process, right? It makes it easy flow. Um, and truthfully, it probably would get you to the closing a lot quicker.
Yeah, yeah, and without surprises.
Mhm.
So, I do think another thing that's, good to remember is that, like how you just mentioned, it's a faster decision-making process because
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
if we're well coordinated, then that allows for responses to happen faster. I'd send you a text message, say, hey, I'm seeing this and this and this. What do you think about that? And then, you can go back to the customer and say, hey, have you thought about blah, 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 whatever it might
Right.
be. And
Mhm.
so that coordinating happens. And then if I need to change anything on the loan or the pre-approval, because we're thinking about the whole process, right? Not
Yeah.
just when you're underwriting, but also when you're in the pre-approval stage, because that can be really critical. I
Yeah.
think that part is probably, I
The
think that's
most
the first potential stressful part in the
right.
transaction. Once you get
I
over,
think it's the most that we talk to, because during
mhm,
the transaction, once we find the house, then it's kind of a normal process, and any hiccups or things we're probably going to communicate and just kind of keep an update each other on where
yeah,
we are in the process. But
mhm,
in the pre-approval part of it, once you get your pre-approval and we're off to look for your new house, we have to make sure that we're in the right tax bracket. We have to make sure that
the
your
insurance,
monthly,
yeah,
right, like you're not, we're not exceeding your monthly. We might need to ask for some credit for closing, and how much
yeah,
is that, how much that closing cost going to be, and how much should I ask, and if I gave them over asking price, do you think this is gonna, will that help with the credit towards the closing? Things like that. We do during that time. We do a lot of conversation.
right. I would definitely say so. Yeah,
Yeah, right. So
going out and even determine, like how you just mentioned, that part is really what happens. Probably more so when you find a home, like find something you may potentially want to move on. Um,
hmm
and then I think that's another thing that's a little bit different about us too. I tell everybody I work 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. But now Dion, I already know if she out on a Saturday and send me a message, because you guys found a house or something, and you want to place an offer, I'm gonna respond.
yeah,
I'm gonna be, if Chase Bank wouldn't do that because Chase Bank
no,
is usually not in on
I
Saturday.
wasn't gonna give no names, but
Oh,
yeah,
you mean like BMO? Right, yeah. I understand. Yeah.
but
Be
yeah.
more
So
available. Can you be more available? We would appreciate that.
I just had two deals with them.
Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Um,
Right. Like ask your lender on Monday.
right, right. Opposed to, hold on, let me text Lisa.
Right. Because
Right,
that's what I'm telling them. Like, hey,
right, right. Because and that makes a difference. And especially if you're talking about being in the crunch when it's because people are not going to wait for you to talk to your banker on a
no.
Monday. If they say we taking offers, until 6 o'clock tonight, well, guess
Hmm.
what? Your offer needs to be in before 6 o'clock that
Yeah.
night. And once you place an offer, you really pretty much need to stand by that. So, you don't want to be known as a person to just throw something at the wall and see what stick. That's not good. So you want to be seen as somebody to be taken seriously. And the way that happens is from this coordination. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It is important, definitely, to have a lender that's available on the weekend. I've had many times, just like Lisa is saying, that we are unable to contact the lender, and unfortunately, sometimes we miss the opportunity because maybe it's not within your pre-approval, so it's difficult for me to know for sure whether we can write for that property or not, or we might end up writing, and then the lender says, oh, you wrote for that. Like, yeah, you wasn't
Right. Well, that's what you had on the pre-approval.
right. Right, like that's what I could go off of. So it is so when you're picking your lender, that might be a definite question that you want to ask them. What's your availability, and if my realtor needs to contact you over the weekend and for us to put in an important offer, what will you be available?
Right. How would we be able to do that? Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. So definitely a good question to ask. So
Absolutely. And I think this is something that I don't mind mentioning. I think it's really good for you all to know. We do this because we're here to service you, but we can service so many more people if we can do a good job with you. So we
mm,
look to you guys for referrals. We do. I mean, our business is mainly that way. We look at people that we've worked with before, and then they send us people that they trust, that they know that they can trust us. So they'll send people to us to follow up with them. I had somebody just earlier today. I don't know if I should say his name in particular, but Wayne, Mr. Wayne,
Oh,
he sent me a message earlier today and he was like, "Hey, I gave somebody your phone number. They said they thinking about buying a house. They work for this place. I think he didn't even like pre-vetted them."
right. He's our best client. I'm sorry, guys. Hey, he's always in our corner. So I give big kudos to him because he always refers somebody to us, no
Yeah.
matter what. He's always out there recruiting for us. So even
Mhm.
if you haven't been our client, and somebody says, "Hey, do you know a realtor?" And you could say, "Yeah, but you know what? I listened to Dione Branch on YouTube or Facebook, and she
Right.
seems very knowledgeable. I think you should give her a call." Or
Yep.
just point them to our channel so that they can start watching themselves. Hey,
Yep.
listen to these people. They
That's
give
good.
some important information on a regular basis every Wednesday at 6 p.m. So right, and that would definitely help us as well. So we're always open for referrals. If you have somebody or know someone that needs to purchase property, just
Mhm.
send them our way. So
Yep. Absolutely. That helps because we out here in these real estate streets, so we doing this
mhm.
every day, not just
Yeah.
not just every day. We do it every day, but we doing it every day.
Every day, right?
Yeah.
Ah, did we talk
Mhm.
about the increased expertise? Are we the experts? Yes, we
Well,
are.
if you on Water Cooler Wednesday, hopefully you figured out by now that we are the experts. So
Right. So we love to share information with you all. And so that's one of the definitely important things we talked about. We kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but
yeah,
just the fact that I like to educate, Lisa likes to educate. So we're always educating our clients throughout the whole process so that they can make sure that they're making the best decisions for themselves as well.
right,
So,
right. And the knowledge that we share with you all, there's also things that if I'm just honest, Dion, I've learned some things about real estate from working with you.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
learned
and
some
the
things
same.
because of the transactions that we've gone through together. I've learned a little bit more about like the mindset of a realtor. How you guys think. What I'm the money lady. I'm the
Yeah,
numbers person, but you're not
right.
really a numbers person. You're really more well, you somewhat numbers though too, because you have to incorporate that into part of what you,
Yeah.
especially if you get a listing. But you're also the social person. You're also the area person.
Hmm.
Similar to how an appraiser is. You have
Yeah.
stuff about the area, So I think that because of the fact that we work in a field that has so many moving parts and so many different professionals, it only enhances us, as a team and as individuals. Like you've helped me become a better loan officer, right? Because
Hmm.
I'm able to understand more about how the whole transaction works because I see it from your perspective. I see it from my perspective. I see it
Right.
from the customer's perspective. I see it from the insurance professional's perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, and it's the same for me. A lot of times, I'm always going to refer to the lender when answering a question, when you're asking a question about financing.
Mhm.
But sometimes I do know the answer, but I don't want to steer you wrong in case it might be something, a little
Different,
different,
new,
right? So
right?
I always go say, hey, talk to your lender. But same here. I've learned a lot about lending and understanding what's required in order for you to get pre-approved and what is how she's gonna get all in your business. Just all those different things. And so I think it's very it's important that you have two people that are able to work together and learn from one another. And
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that does, so that's like increased expertise and knowledge, right? But then a stronger professional reputation because that helps, when you come in, because let's just be honest,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of realtors, but everybody not doing business. And the market, even though it looks like it's probably really big, it's not. The market is not that big. You spend a couple of years in this industry and you're going to start to see the same people.
Yeah, same people, same house. I drive past houses nowadays, and I'll be like, "Oh, I've been in that house. Oh, I've been in that house."
Right.
Right? Like, I was driving the other day. I was like, oh yeah."
I remember that house. Yeah.
I remember that house. And you're like, oh, and it's nicer when you see a house that you actually have been inside and looking for, for a buyer for the house. And
Mhm.
then you drive past the house and you see that people are in the house and living in the house. It actually makes me feel happy as well. Like it may not even been my deal, but it just is nice to see that, oh, that house has some new owners,
Uh, yep.
and
So
so, yeah, I'm a little wimpy. Sorry.
but being out, you only can, really have that experience because of the fact that you're out there. You're out
Yeah,
there doing you're doing the thing. You're doing real estate day in and day out. And as such, you've built a reputation. Like one
yeah,
of the things I always say about you is that somehow you've become a master negotiator because you
right.
always come up with the best seller credits for people.
I'm trying because we sometimes we just get those people, and I have to figure out how we could get them into the house. So hey, guys, so you got to improve your skills in order to get everybody into the house that they want.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I'm
But
doing
knowing
magic over here, but Lisa's doing magic over there too with those numbers, trying to figure them out as well. So yeah, right. So we
sometimes it do feel like magic, like, ooh,
right,
I did that.
right, right. Like, you're like, whew, stay in there. Thank goodness.
That
Yes.
worked. All right. Hallelujah.
Mhm.
But
So
being
we
able
do.
to do that, that does, just like how we mentioned about being able to get referrals from you guys. If we do what we're supposed to do, then we should be able to get a referral. But also, people can have confidence. They know I got
Hmm.
an offer from Dione Branch. I know she closes. She closes.
Yes.
So if I get an offer from her, then my chances of closing have already just gone up, just because
Hmm.
of the fact that I know that she don't just write any kind of offer.
Right.
She
Right.
writes.
She has a good team. That's working. And a lot of times when I'm working with realtors, and I'm sorry, with lenders, sorry, when I'm working with lenders and we're putting the offer down, the listing agent may ask me that question. Have you worked with this lender before? And
Yep,
then, right, and so it's nice to say, "Oh, yes, I've had multiple, deals, and we always close our deals, and, we stay on target with our
yep,
closing day." All those different things. I can say positive about my team
yep.
because we've worked together. But when I'm working with a new lender that I've never worked before, it's a little harder. I don't wanna lie, but I don't
Right.
wanna just say like, "No, I ain't never worked." I ain't never worked with that before. I'm like, "Oh, well, they seem very professional."
Right.
I mean,
Oh
like,
my goodness,
you
that's
you don't
funny.
wanna you don't wanna be like, I don't wanna lie. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, they're expert," because I haven't worked with them.
Right. You don't
I can only look up their history online or somewhere to see, how they've done things or how their background.
know.
Um, and you could do the same for me, right? You can look online to find information about me and my background as far as how many transactions I've sold. So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
But these have been I think these have all been really, really good points that, talking about the increased expertise and knowledge, having a strong professional reputation, being able to make decisions faster, throughout the process being more streamlined. And one thing we didn't really talk about, but sometimes things can go awry,
Yeah.
context of a transaction, stuff can happen. Um, so I do think that when you have a realtor and a LO who are aligned, that a loan originator, who are aligned, that that's better problem solving. It's
Mm-hmm.
the problem solving gets to be a little more it's almost like it's less of a problem because of who you have on your team.
Yeah, yeah. And you can figure out a solution together, and it doesn't the lender isn't kind of off trying to find a solution on their own, and then without coming back and talking to me as a realtor about it and seeing what I can do to assist in the situation, right? So maybe sometimes you don't have enough money to close, and I can go back to the other agent and say, hey,
Yeah,
this closing is being pushed off by, so many days or whatever based off of lack of funds. Is it possible that your client might give a little extra $2,000? You know, it doesn't hurt to ask,
right.
but I wouldn't know to
In
ask
the
them.
grand scheme of things, like we're saying that throwing that number out there right now, right? Like 2,000, people might be like $2,000, but in the context of buying a $250,000 or a $325,000 house, $2,000, may not be a lot of money. It,
Yeah, yeah,
but it might be just enough to get us over the hurdle, to
mhm.
still allow us to close everything when we want and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And so and now everybody's happy, right? We've got a happy seller, we have a happy buyer,
yeah,
and everybody's able to close on this transaction and move forward, right? They may have another house that's waiting for them that they need to close on. So they need to close this
absolutely.
deal in order to go on to the next deal.
And
Uh,
yeah, and I was
mhm,
going to say that's one of the things that I like about working with you because of the fact that you list and you also represent buyers too.
yeah,
So you have a mindset that kind of thinks about everybody in the transaction. And I'm the same way too. I really want us to have a win-win-win. I don't want anybody to walk away from the transaction and feel like, they really stuck it to me, or something,
yeah,
what I mean? We don't want that for anybody in the transaction. So we really genuinely try to do the best that we can to make sure that even if an issue comes up, that we find a amicable way, to
hmm,
address the issue to get the problem solved, but still get everybody to the closing table with some dignity.
yeah, yeah, right, yeah. And everybody, you're right, and that's important. Everybody's happy, right? We don't want the seller to leave there like, "Hey, took all my money."
Right, right. I thought I was supposed to have some money left over. I ain't got it. Like we don't want that. We don't want
No,
that.
right. Well, of course, it's another successful show.
Yes, water cooler Wednesday.
Yes, and if you're looking to purchase, um, sorry,
Hmm,
purchase a home and uh, you want to talk to someone about purchasing a house, you can always give me a call. Here's my number here. Give me a call. We can have a conversation about
I did
what
it.
you need in order to purchase a home. And then I will definitely always send you over to Lisa White, House
Lisa
Money Mama.
J.
Right, Lisa J. We're gonna send you over to Lisa J to get your pre-approval, get you started with your home purchase. All right.
All right.
So we
Thank
thank
you,
you.
everybody, so much for joining us tonight. This is a really good conversation. People don't really talk about this, but it's important. Is having
Hmm.
a good team is really, really important, and a team that works together, has the same mindset, and want to get you into your home and have a successful transaction. And not just to do that, but then we want to come to the housewarming.
Yeah,
We do all of those things too. We don't just want to be here for the transaction, but we want to be here to walk with you. For the other things that happen with you in life afterward as well.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
And right. And then when you're ready to sell, give me a call and I'll help you sell that house and move on to the next one. So right. That's why they call them a starter home.
Right.
So,
Have a good night,
all
everybody.
right. Good night.